So we do a pod system here at our ER, and one of the great things about that is we're still not kind of consolidating by acuity in those pods. You'll still see sick patients in all of them. But A pod is where a lot of our resuscitation bays are, including the trauma bay. So all the traumas come here. We're of course one of the level 1 trauma centers of the upstate of South Carolina. As the ER resident in A pod, you'll be head of bed for all the traumas. That's one of the agreements that we have. And the expectation is whether you're an intern or a senior resident, you'll be seeing those patients, you'll be working them up, you'll be doing a lot of procedures on them. So we have a really good setup here in A-Pod.
B-Pod is a really great place to train. We spent a lot of time here during our second year as residents. And B-Pod, one of the strengths of it in training here is that it feels like its own little kind of tiny emergency department. The acuity level here varies. It can be, anywhere from a cardiac arrest to, something very minor like an ankle sprain, which is great because that mimics kind of the real world emergency departments that you're going to find in the community.
So our pediatric experience here, I think, is one of our program highlights, and has 22 beds, and we see approximately 30,000 patients a year volume. That's just within the pediatric ER here. The health system sees a good bit more than that, and we rotate at a variety of our satellite hospitals where you'll see approximately 20% pediatric patients. So the overall number that the residents see as far as pediatric emergency patients is not limited to this emergency department, but we do have a fairly high volume and acuity.
So we have a pretty diverse ICU experience here with our program. One of the unique things is we do 2 months up here in the NICU as interns within our hospital system. The medical ICU has about 30 beds in it. It's something that I think ends up making us better providers at the end of the day, and ultimately better emergency medicine physicians, because we don't typically follow them after they leave the ER and come to the ICU. And so up here it's great because we get to see what ends up happening to these patients once they're in the hospital, what roles we have in terms of getting these patients from being extremely sick in the ICU to ultimately getting them to the floor and back home. That's ultimately our goal.
The real benefit of working in Greer and other satellite hospitals is you really have to learn how to manage your sick patient and get them stabilized to where you can transfer them. And even the whole process of getting that transfer in place is a whole new skill. But I like the fact that at our program we have multiple sites that we get to do that. And then the volume, this is a pretty busy emergency department as well. So even though the main hospital we're seeing 100,000 patients at least a year, this hospital is seeing at least 30 to 40,000. So for the size of this hospital, that is a lot of patients. So we're turning these beds over, and we really have to be efficient, but at the same time make sure we're providing great patient care.
Working out at Oconee is a phenomenal experience for our residents. We all very much enjoy it. It is one of our satellite hospitals, and certainly the most remote of the satellite hospitals that our health system has. Not too long ago, it used to be essentially a freestanding emergency department that was very much limited resources, essentially a ring the doorbell ER. We've grown in volume and acuity since that time, but the experience certainly still echoes that. Limited resource emergency department, and I think that opportunity for our residents to experience and learn just further builds our foundation. But all of the hands-on stabilization and management of the sick patients that happens in the emergency department is done by the emergency physicians and residents included. If you can't do it, then nobody can, and so you really get to test your skills and abilities here and take care of patients who are very much sick.